Hello. In the Noahide laws, there's a lot of comparisons between the Noahide laws, the seven Noahide laws, and the 613 Jewish laws. There's a lot of things where there seems to be an overlap, and other areas where there doesn't seem to be an overlap. One area of an overlap might be in the area of the prohibition against theft. We're not allowed to steal stuff. But there's also a lot of Jewish laws involved with the prohibition of theft. So how do we navigate? How do we relate our interaction or the interconnection between the Jewish laws and the seven Noahide laws? An interesting book, and one that creates a lot of discussion on this topic, is Aaron Lichtenstein's The Seven Laws of Noah. Aaron Lichtenstein is he's passed away a couple years ago, but he was the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva University. He was the head of a major rabbinic college, and a highly respected scholar. He wrote this book to show the relationship between the Jewish law, the 613 Jewish law, and the seven Noahide laws, comparing and contrasting the two. At the beginning of the book, he speaks of natural law. He speaks of natural law as it was understood in the ancient Near East, Babylon and other societies at that time, and then he shows the way that it existed in Moses's covenant. Then he goes step by step through the seven laws and shows where there's connections, where there's overlap between the Jewish law and the Noahide law, where the Noahide law can see Jewish laws that correspond with it. Normally, the way people read the book, and I always read it this way, that the book was expressing that there was these laws, 60 some of the Jewish law, that were found within the Noahide law. As if, okay, we have the Noahide laws, but there's subcategories within the Noahide laws that branch out into a number of different laws regarding the Jewish commandments. At least that's the way I always understood the book to be. That Noahides didn't actually have seven laws, and Noahides had like 60 plus laws. The seven laws were just categories. At least I understood that until I got to the end of the book, or near the end of the book. I had the opportunity to study this with another person. When I read it, I didn't catch this, but when I studied with another person, we kind of looked at it and we stared at each other, trying to figure out what to make of it. At the end of the book, Rabbi Lichtenstein writes on page 94, "At this point, it may be useful to explain that the 66 commandments which were cited as having application for Noahide law are clearly not to be thought of as biblical commandments as such, functioning in Noahism. This is not so, for it is only in effect that any Mosaic commandments can be said to operate under Noahism. The 613 commandments are singular technical apparati of the Israelite system, and the Noahide systems does not concern itself with them intrinsically." So I guess we should have just understood it as such. We should have just understood that, of course, we don't expect these 66 laws to be directly like as if the Noahide has 66 laws. It would be nice if Rabbi Lichtenstein had mentioned this closer to the beginning of the book, so we wouldn't have come to that, because everybody I've ever talked to about this book comes to that conclusion. I'm not sure if anybody's ever gotten this far into the book, and I missed it reading it on my own. It was only when reading with someone else that it came up. So I'm just supposed to automatically be aware of this. And if I was at Yeshiva University, probably I would already be aware of it. I just am not on that level, so someone has to tell me in an easier manner. A couple paragraphs later, in page 95, Rabbi Lichtenstein continues, Thus, it is only in effect that specific commandments have been shown to be operative in Noahism. Simply put, this would mean that both the individual who is subject to Israelite law and the individual who is subject to Noahide law might be required to act in essentially the same manner in specific instances. However, although they act the same in such instances, the Israelite is responding to the demands of one or more of the 613 commandments, whereas the Noahide is responding to the demands of the 7 laws and their derivatives. So the way that when I went over this, the way that it was, we came to realize is that if I'm learning something that might apply to the Noahide, if I'm learning something in the Shulchan Aruch which might apply maybe the laws of the prohibition against stealing or something to that effect, I'm learning these things. It doesn't mean that I'm learning the individual commandments. I'm learning the details. I'm learning the halakkas without necessarily learning a separate mitzvah that I'm under. The mitzvah that I'm under would be the prohibition against stealing, and all the miscellaneous mitzvahs that applies to in the Jewish system. It doesn't mean that I'm taking on those mitzvahs. It just means that I'm learning the details of how the Torah operates by studying these other laws. And so there is, in fact, according to Rabbi Lichtenstein, there is in fact 7 laws that the Noahide is under. There's not 66. There's not some other way of figuring out the math. There's 7 laws, and we learn the details of these 7 laws through looking at the corresponding halakkas in the Jewish code. And I hope this other people can benefit from this clarification. Thank you very much.